On the news tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari inaugurates Ministry of Finance Incorporated.
I expect you to work with other MDAs to create a consolidated national asset register.
Senate moves to strengthen against cancer.
The National Center for Cancer Research seeks to provide research in prevention, treatment, and care in cancer.
Plus, correspondent on special assignments takes a look at the National Assembly in 2022. Hello there and welcome to the news. My name is Vivian Itekwefo. Many thanks for joining us. The Ministry of Finance Incorporated has been launched in furtherance of landmark reform initiatives of the federal government aimed at enhancing the nation's economic fortunes for sustainable growth and development. President Muhammadu Buhari, who performed the ceremony, tasked the Board of Directors and management to grow the entity's assets under management from the current value of 18 trillion naira to at least 100 trillion naira in the next 10 years. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
Although established 64 years ago, this is the very first time the Ministry of Finance Incorporated (MOFI) has been formally restructured and repositioned to operate in accordance with global best practices as a world-class asset and investment management organization.
It is also the firm belief of Mr. President that all government assets must be known and they must be used to generate cash flows that will contribute to improve government revenues and contribute to the social and economic development of our country.
Apart from the launch of the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, President Buhari also inaugurated its governing council with him as chairman. Former Minister of Finance Dr. Shamsuddin Usman heads the board of directors, while Dr. Armstrong Takang is the managing director and chief executive officer.
I expect you to work with other MDAs to create a consolidated national asset register into cash flow generating entities to support the government's revenue drive, and D, partner with government with a view to using government-owned investments and assets to support the government in delivering on its social and economic obligations to the citizenry.
MOFI is also expected to be the clearinghouse for the management of federal government investments and assets, with a view to ensuring that such investments are delivering superior risk-adjusted returns to the government. The president described as unacceptable that MOFI's peers in other climes have gone on to make major social and economic impacts in their respective nations, with many of them, like that of Singapore, already becoming global brands investing domestically and internationally. He therefore insists that MOFI must, in delivering on its mandate, live up to the nation's expectations as a trusted custodian and manager of the investments and assets of the federal government.
Provide visibility over what the federal government of Nigeria owns by creating and managing a national asset register. Take steps to unlock liquidity from federal government of Nigeria's idle assets, mobilizing capital and investing the capital in opportunities that are strategic to the nation's social and economic development plan. I hereby direct the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planner to commence the process of amending the MOFI Act and other relevant legislation to further institutionalize this reform.
And as the Buhari presidency remains committed to transparency and accountability, Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed is optimistic that the launch of MOFI marks the beginning of a new era, and at the end of his tenure, the deserved change promised Nigerians would have been delivered. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
The Director General, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, Professor Abubakar Suleiman, has commended state houses of assembly that have passed resolutions in favor of local government financial and administrative autonomy, and regrets that will follow some lawmakers and state assemblies that rejected it. The Director General stated this at a two-day capacity building workshop for clerks, deputy clerks, and directors in the state assemblies. John Yaku has details.
The two-day capacity building workshop is geared towards a successful transition in the next legislative assemblies.
The goal is to prepare the administrative staff, the heart of the State Houses of Assembly, for the transition and constitution period that will happen after the elections.
Director General, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, expresses happiness with the 27 state houses of assembly that have forwarded to the National Assembly resolutions on constitution amendments. These include recommendations on pending bills before some states, especially the one on local government financial and administrative autonomy.
Recall when State House of Assembly voted against their own financial autonomy at the behest of their governors. Today, many of those lawmakers are living with the guilt of that poor choice. It is my contention, therefore, that state assemblies are yet to recover from that initial setback.
The workshop is expected to carry out a mock inauguration session with relevant topics such as autonomy, parliamentary protocol, and operational challenges. In Abuja, John Yaku, NTA News.
We go now to Guinea-Bissau, where Onangie Fineface reports that the ECOWAS Parliament is making a case for women and youth participation in politics and elections as Nigeria, Liberia, and Sierra Leone go to the polls this year.
Whenever youth and women gather on advocacy, the issues of equality, inclusion, and equity often resonate. ECOWAS Parliament, through this symposium, seeks to unleash the potentials of youth and women in leadership, in governance, and in entrepreneurship.
We have to come out of the shade of the men. We are not there alone. Our countries, all women are fighting for respect for their rights and are contributing immensely for the construction of a fairer society. The objective is not to divide men and women, or much less the youth and the aged, but to build a society of equality of opportunities for everyone.
This is an opportunity also to have a strong entrepreneurship that helps women and the youths to be really empowered, especially in terms of socio-economic development.
Through the ECOWAS Female Parliamentarians Association Network, ECOFEPA, Parliament is resolved to create a space for young people and women to take their rightful place in leadership in West Africa.
Their demands are genuine and always the same. All they want can be summarized in the theme, creating a space within the ECOWAS institutions for their voices to be heard and to get actively involved in the decision-making table on issues that affect them.
It seems fair and right to recognize the participation of women and young people in the spheres of political and economic decision-making, which has registered remarkable improvement in the last decades.
The symposium unravels strategies for managing the triple workload of family, career, and political responsibility, especially for women in politics. In Bissau, Guinea-Bissau, Onangie Fineface, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the president of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, says the 2023 general elections will be the most free, fair, and credible election in the history of Nigeria. He stated this when he granted audience to the former Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Ignatius Nkwo has this report.
With 25 days to the presidential and National Assembly elections in Nigeria, attention on foreign missions have been intensified, especially by its sister countries. Raila Odinga, former Kenyan Prime Minister, was at the National Assembly to discuss the forthcoming elections and to remind Nigeria of its role in the African continent. The delegation expects a model electoral process from Africa's most populous nation. President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, was clear that the improved electoral process necessitated by the new Electoral Act will make a significant difference.
I think we need to continuously work to ensure that our elections are peaceful, that they are credible, that the integrity test that we need to pose our elections should give us every hope and give our people every hope. And we believe that the 2023 general elections will have the best and the highest quality of election processes than the previous ones.
Kenya and Nigeria enjoy a very long-standing relationship, and we keep on comparing experiences and so on. We've just come from a very grueling election in Kenya. We wish Nigerians all the best.
Senator Lawan also met with Thomas Bosrop, Deputy Chief Observer, European Election Observation Mission.
We are also monitoring selected media. We have a team of media monitors that are monitoring, observing some 14 radio, television and print newspapers. And for this mission, as a novelty, we also have an analyst for social media.
Partners and friends all over the world should come in whatever way they can help us to ensure that we're able to conduct very free, credible elections in 2023.
Senate had adjourned plenary on Wednesday last week to enable senators participate actively in the electoral process. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The president of the Pan-African Parliament, Fortune Charumbira, has called for unity with to address common challenges such as food security, climate change, peace and security, among others. Charumbira was addressing the 17th session of the Parliamentary Union of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, in Algiers, Algeria. The report. The message of unity is characteristic of the Pan-African Parliament since the election of new leadership in 2022. The president of the Continental Parliamentary Body condemned attacks on Islamic assets and institutions, calling for an end to Islamophobia in the Western world.
As Pan-African Parliament, I want to stand here and say we condemn and we join with you to condemn those people in the countries that are guilty of Islamophobia, that are attacking Islamic institutions, Islamic assets, and we should stand together that the attack on the Muslim communities and beliefs cannot be accepted by Africa. There is Islamic God. We cannot accept that.
The PAP president described the parliamentary organizations as having shared visions of promotion of human rights, peace and security through coordination among peoples of the world, thereby enhancing respect and defense of human rights and humanitarian principles based on justice.
So for all intents and purposes, we are just one. We are one. And from now on, as we go forward, let us show clearly that we are one. On everything, let us have a common agenda. Let us agree on how we move forward on various issues.
Of the 54 members of the Parliamentary Union of the OIC, 27 are members of the Pan-African Parliament. Vivian Itekwefo, NTA News. We take a break now. Parliamentary news returns shortly.
NTA Parliament is a dedicated 24-hour channel that broadcasts the activities of the Nigerian Senate, Federal House of Representatives, and all the 36 state houses of assembly. NTA Parliament, strengthening Nigeria's democracy.
Welcome back. We begin this segment of the news with a look at the National Assembly in the year 2022. Ignatius said that it was a decisive period in the 9th National Assembly. The complexities of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill and its eventual passage remains the high point of its 2022 legislative interventions.
From the 18th of January, when the Senate reconvened for 2022 session, to December 2022, it has been a bill production chamber. The first major legislative intervention for 2022 came on the 19th of January, when the Senate reconsidered and passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2020, which rescinded its earlier decision and now gave political parties right to decide its mode of primaries in what would be a historic reformation of Nigeria's electoral system. The House of Representatives had rejected consensus, but on the 25th of January 2022, both chambers harmonized and adopted direct, indirect, and consensus.
This is one of our major pillars and planks in our legislative agenda when we started in 2019.
The Supreme Court ruling that struck out the suit filed by the federal government challenging Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022, which banned political appointees from voting at the primaries of political parties, did not strain the existing legislative-executive relationship. On the 23rd of February, Senate received report of its committee on the fifth alteration to the 1999 Constitution. 1st of March 2022, it voted and passed 44 of the bills, which included local government financial and administrative autonomy, but rejected the 3 women emancipation bills, which resulted in the blockade of the National Assembly gate by some Nigerian women.
This democracy, there are some clauses that I have wished that they pass through, like that of the extra seat for women.
It's a great disappointment. We kind of saw it coming because we knew the men didn't quite believe in these bills.
Senate passed more than 10 bills in 2022, including anti-corruption bills, the 2022 supplementary budget, the 2023 appropriation bill, and the finance bill 2022. Parliamentary intervention in the economic sector focused on curbing revenue leakages, especially fuel theft. This prompted a meeting involving leadership of the Senate and heads of all paramilitary agencies on the 25th of January, with heads of revenue-generating agencies and also engaged heads of security agencies.
There has never been an administration that invested so much resources in the security of this country than this present administration.
Senate confirmed more than 25 presidential appointees, including that of Justice Olukayode Ariwola as Chief Justice of Nigeria, 7 ministerial nominees, chairman and board members of the Niger Delta Development Commission. 27th of July 2022, the day Senate embarked on its annual recess, members of the opposition threatened to impeach President Muhammadu Buhari if the security situation in the country does not improve, but all that fizzled out before their resumption. On the 27th of July 2022, Senator Ibrahim Gobiru replaced Senator Yahaya Abdullahi as the majority leader of the Senate, following Yahaya's defection to the PDP, while Senator Enyinaya Abaribe defected to ABGA, and Senator Philip Aduda took over as minority leader. 2 members left the Senate, Senators Abdullahi Adamu and Abubakar Kyari, who became the national chairman of APC and deputy national chairman North. With 6 months still left to wind up, the 9th Senate believes it has accomplished its legislative agenda. As of December 2022, Senate is made up of 63 APC senators, PDP 39, NNPP 3, ABGA 1, YPP 2, and Labour Party 1. Ignatius Nkwo, NTN News.
Still staying with legislative performance in 2022, aside its constitutional responsibilities of lawmaking and oversight, which saw the passage of landmark bills like the Electoral Act 2022, the 9th House of Representatives made impact in key sectors for the well-being of citizens. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali in this report highlights some activities of the 9th House in 2022.
The passage of the 2023 annual budget is the last legislative exercise in the year 2022 for members of the House of Representatives. It is also the last annual budget to be considered and approved by the Ninth House as its life cycle terminates in June 2023. The appropriation bill brings the number of bills processed by the House of Representatives to more than 2,100, among which are the Constitution Amendment bills, the highest number recorded so far in Nigeria's democracy.
346 bills have been passed at third reading, meaning we have completed work on everything, transmitted them to the President for assent.
House members also passed several resolutions. One of the recent compelled the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to review the cashless policy.
We will be requesting to find out what that official assignment is that will keep the CBN governor away for almost 2 weeks.
The issue of him coming was just to fulfill all righteousness.
No, sir, the issue of him coming is in compliance with the law.
Yeah, compliance with the law.
It's not,
we had already passed a resolution asking him to suspend the implementation of that policy.
Give the man another chance to come, and when he comes, all these questions can be raised. I believe Nigerians will be convinced, and those of us who are here, foot soldiers of Nigerian people, will take the right decision on behalf of our people.
The Ninth House of Representatives also placed its name on record as it was instrumental to the resumption of university lecturers to classrooms after months of industrial action. This was followed up with a national summit on education to come up with best options on the future of tertiary education in Nigeria.
The central public policy challenge is the conflict between the competing objectives of access and quality. How do we fund a quality tertiary education without imposing costs that make access to quality education impossible for most people?
At the continental level, the Speaker convened the first conference of speakers of African parliaments with an agenda to free the continent from the burden of debt, which experts agree slows down economic growth in Africa.
Unfair global economic system. Africa is rich, but poor. We have everything, yet we have nothing.
The issue of debt relief is an important one, and it's central to the economic policies and practices of our African government.
And on a rather sad note, 2 House members died in 2022, bringing to 9 the number of Ninth House members that died since inauguration. The Green Chamber now has 6 months to deliver on what remains of its legislative agenda as Nigeria moves into the election year. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
The Senate is considering a bill to provide a holistic national strategy for the treatment of cancer as a serious national agenda. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the bill, which has passed second reading, received inputs from members of the public.
Data from the World Health Organization shows that cancer is responsible for 7.8 million deaths globally, with 72% of such deaths occurring in developing nations such as Nigeria. The absence of data on the ailment in order to determine accurate statistics of persons affected to ensure effective treatment in Nigeria has further exacerbated the situation. The establishment of a National Center for Cancer Treatment has become urgent. This public hearing convened by the Senate Committee on Health provided another platform for a review of the health challenges posed by late diagnosis and management of the ailment.
The National Center for Cancer seeks to provide research in prevention, treatment, and care in cancer, assist and make recommendations to the government about policies and programs for the control of the cancer.
The cause of death in the entire world. What are they? Hypertension, diabetes, stroke, cancer, chronic kidney disease, asthma, arthritis, ulcer. These are the gamut of diseases. For sustainability, for us to look inwards.
Importance of developing general hospital is critical in this regard, and we are lucky that we just received a very generous grant of Global Fund, which again we are applying for them to allow us to strengthen our health system.
6 other health institutions establishment bills were also presented to the public for input. The regulation of in vitro fertilization, Federal Nephrology and Kidney Research and Treatment Center, Hadeja, Federal Medical Center, Okigwe, and Nigeria Medical Research Council.
One patient with kidney disease requires a multidisciplinary approach that will take at least nephrologists, endocrinologists, hematologists, gastroenterologists, psychiatrists, dermatologists, neurologists, and urologists to manage.
Your inputs are most definitely going to enrich our understanding and help the quality of the Senate decision.
The Federal Orthopedic Hospital, Ukbo, and the Federal Medical Center, Uli, establishment bills, all in Anambra State, were also subjected to public hearing. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
And away from legislative matters, the issue of out-of-school children in Nigeria has for years generated concern and dialogues between parents, teachers, interested groups, and government. No doubt, it has been a lingering issue. Abdulmalik Hassan, in this report, chronicles factors that have contributed to the numbers of out-of-school children. Lawmaking is one of the three major functions of the legislature. This comes in a legislative proposal known as bill to be considered by Parliament. In this report, National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo again takes a look at the bill process in the National Assembly.
The legislature, because of its representative nature, remains a significant symbol of democracy. It is the organ of government that churns out laws for the society. Law in the making is known as a bill. A bill passes through first, second, and third reading before it becomes law. The first journey of a bill in Parliament is its introduction to members, which is usually done through Parliamentary journal. The production of this journal is a very significant process of bill process in Parliament.
A bill has to be gazetted before it can be worked upon. Now, after gazetting, it comes back to the Office of Rules and Business, and the process of lawmaking on the floor starts. That is when it comes up for first reading.
The next appearance of the bill in Parliament is referred to as first reading. At this stage, the bill is read without a debate. Only the title is read, usually by the clerk of the chamber.
Public Enterprises Privatization and Commercialization Act Amendment Bill 2017, first reading.
Well, first reading is simply that the Speaker will call upon the clerk of the House to read the short title of the bill.
The next stage is the second reading. It is at this stage that members of Parliament debate the bill. It is also at this stage that the bill either progresses or it is thrown away and ceases to progress. If it passes this stage, it is then referred to a relevant committee.
Now, after all this is said and done, they will come back to what we call the Committee of the Whole and now consider the outcome of both the committee stage as well as the public hearing.
From the committee stage to the report stage, where the committee submits its report at plenary and considered at the Committee of the Whole for general bills and Committee of Supply for money bills. As soon as members approve the report of the committee, the bill is read and passed at third reading and awaits concurrence in the case of bicameral legislature. Concurrence by the two chambers does not make the bill a law. It has to be assented to by the President. But where the President withholds his assent without any explanation, after 30 days, the legislators can now override his veto through a two-thirds majority.
The final clean copy that will go to the President will now be signed by the clerk of the National Assembly and endorsed by the Senate President and the Speaker. Then it now goes to the President for his assent.
The functions of legislators as representatives of the people and oversight over the other arms of government is as important as that of lawmaking. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Do join us for the rest of our programs and follow us on our social media handles. I am Vivian Itekwefo. Bye for now.